London, 1940. Bombs fall, cities burn. But somehow, the symbol of Britain's soul still stand. Big Ben, Buckingham Palace, St. Paul's Cathedral. How? Why? What saved these icons from the wrath of Hitler's Blitzkrieg? Today we dive into a rarely told story, the unsung battle to save Britain's past while fighting for its future. After France fell in 1940, Britain was alone. Hitler turned his attention across the Channel, first to destroy the Royal Air Force, then to break the will of the British people through terror. Thus began the Battle of Britain, and what followed, the Blitz. The Battle of Britain lasted from July to October of 1940. The Blitz lasted from September of 1940 to May of 1941, as Luftwaffe reserves ran out. Over 40,000 civilians killed in Britain. London was bombed 57 consecutive nights. Initially, the Luftwaffe targeted military infrastructure, airfields, radar towers, munition factories. But when the RAF struck Berlin in retaliation, Hitler went full rage mode. The gloves came off. Suddenly, the German strategy shifted to total war, hammering civilian centers to break morale. Britain isn't just a country, it's a collection of living history. Buildings like Westminster, Abbey, Buckingham Palace, and Tower Bridge are more than structures. They're symbols. If they fell, it wouldn't just be bricks and mortar lost. It would be part of the British soul. But here's what history class doesn't tell you. These buildings were targets. Bombs did land nearby, and they could have been wiped out. But they weren't. Let's break down why. Nothing embodies British resilience like St. Paul's Cathedral. On December 29th of 1940, during one of the worst air raids, incendiary bombs fell like rain across the city. Fires raged out of control. Most of the ancient city of London was ablaze. But in the middle of all of it, St. Paul's stood. Why? Because people fought for it. Volunteers known as the Fire Watchers climbed the dome and extinguished fires by hand. Bucket brigades, hoses, anything to stop the roof from igniting. The dome was hit multiple times. A bomb was even lodged in the roof, but it didn't detonate. Divine intervention? Maybe. But it was also grit, training, and pure stubborn human will. A quote by Winston Churchill once said, "That the cathedral survived is a miracle." Even the royal family wasn't safe. Buckingham Palace was bombed 9 times. The Queen nearly got hit in her bedroom. The palace chapel was destroyed. But the royals stayed. They refused to flee, and that decision mattered. They became one with the people. They shared the danger, shared the resilience. The palace being damaged actually boosted morale. If the king and queen were toughing it out, so could everyone else. A quote by Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother. "I'm glad we have been bombed now. Now I can look the East End in the face." Some buildings were just lucky. Bombs missed. Others were strategic masterpieces of wartime preservation. The British Museum, for example, evacuated priceless artifacts to secret countryside bunkers. Tower Bridge was sandbagged and monitored 24/7. Big Ben, reinforced, camouflaged, and watched over by fire watch teams. Some of the tactics they used were camouflage nets, Statues covered in scaffolding or crates. Windows were taped to prevent shattering. Explosives were diffused or rerouted by expert bomb squads. It wasn't just luck, it was preparation. Brits knew what was coming. They didn't panic, they planned. That's why so many of their most iconic landmarks survived. The unsung heroes of this story are the civilians, the fire watchers, who climbed rooftops nightly. They had little training and minimal gear, but they had insane courage to do the unthinkable. Imagine standing on a rooftop, watching 500 bombers overhead, and knowing that if an incendiary lands near your post, you'll have to deal with it. And yet they did, over and over again. That's why St. Paul's, Westminster, and countless other sites are still standing today. Today, millions walk past these buildings, never knowing they almost didn't exist. That a single bomber, a stray incendiary, or a single structural failure could have changed everything. But that's the lesson. History survives not just through chance, but through action. Through people who fight for it, people who refuse to let the past be erased. The buildings stood, and because they stood, so did Britain. This is Bridges Over History, where we uncover the forgotten, the undertold, and the fierce truth behind monuments we walk past every day. Like, comment, and subscribe, and share this with a history person. And remember, history isn't just in books, it's still standing right in front of you.